you're there to help.
Good evening, everyone. I now call the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for December 8th, 2020 to order at 7 p.m. And the first thing we'll do is roll call. Commissioner Christensen.
Present.
Commissioner Benavides. See him. I see him there. Commissioner Park.
Here.
Commissioner Seavey. Don't see him. Commissioner Gay has been excused. He's tending to a new granddaughter in Colorado. And Commissioner Berenson.
Present.
and Commissioner Eby is here. Let the record reflect that a quorum is present for the meeting. And the first item is approval of the agenda. Director Justice, are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Benavides has moved to approve the agenda and Commissioner Berenson seconded. Commissioner Christensen, how do you vote?
Yay. Approve.
Commissioner Benavides,
Yay.
Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Berenson.
Yes.
Oh, and I see Commissioner Seavey has arrived. The motion is to approve the agenda. Commissioner Seavey, how do you vote?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I vote yes. Yay.
Thank you. And Commissioner Eby, yes. So the motion carries unanimously. All right, the next item is public comment period, where residents may address the Planning and Zoning Commission on issues, problems, or successes on topics that do not appear on the agenda this evening. Kiko, do we have any members of the public signed up to speak?
I believe we do. Hold on one sec. There are none for public comment unless anybody that has registered for public comment.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who has registered and wishes to speak at this time on public comment? Hearing none. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and we just have approval of the minutes from the November 10th, 2020 regular meeting. Are there any corrections or comments or additions from any commissioners on last month's minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the minutes?
I'll move. This is Rachel Berenson, and I'll move to approve the consent.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Who got there first? I think I heard Karen first.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Berenson moved to approve the minutes and Commissioner Christensen seconded the motion. We'll do this on roll call vote also. Commissioner Christensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Benavides. He raised his hand. Thank you. Commissioner Park,
Yes.
Commissioner Seavey,
Yes.
Commissioner Berenson,
Yes.
Commissioner Eby votes yes. Commissioner Benavides, can I just have an oral yes from you, just for the record?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. So we move on to the public hearings and applications, and we just have one this evening, and it is 4A, and it's S 20-06, a request by Don Nieto Gui and Robert Gui for final plat approval of a major subdivision for 12.217 acres of property in the A1 zone in the South Rio Grande character area. The property is located at 7200 Rio Grande Boulevard Northwest and is legally known as tracts 136A and 136B, MRGCD map number 27, situate in projected section 20T11N R3E NMPM, Village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, New Mexico. Property contains 12.2 acres more or less. Are there any commissioners who will recuse themselves from this item? Okay, seeing none. Attorney Winter, please swear in Director Tiffany Justice.
Tiffany, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Director Justice, may we have your planning report, please?
Commissioners, this subdivision is one that you've seen before. This proposed subdivision would create 3 A1 lots of about 10 acres on one and about 1 acre for 2 others. Each lot would be at least 1 acre net and would have access through a 25-foot wide access easement and a 40-foot wide radius turnaround. Each lot will have a single family residence. Since this subdivision involved more than 5 acres and creates more than 2 lots, it's considered a major subdivision. So it's going through the commission and the board process. The sketch plat review occurred at the commission level. You all recommended approval of the preliminary plat. The board approved the preliminary plat, and now the final plat is back before you all. Major subdivisions are required to go through the site development plan process, which was done through SDP 20-05. And with this item, this application will no longer come before the commission. The surrounding area is zoned A1. And as the lots themselves are zoned A1, most of these requirements, other than the 1 acre net minimum, are fulfilled with the building plans. This includes things such as height, setbacks, the floor area ratio, and permeability. Some of these things were also addressed in the site development plan that was approved. Again, the roadway dimensions meet the village's requirements of a 25-foot wide access easement, and also the size of the emergency turnaround meets our requirements as well as the fire departments. During construction, the applicants will be required to mitigate dust and potential stormwater pollution with a stormwater pollution prevention plan. And as for our code-specific requirements, section 9.1.8 B3 final plat requirements are all met. Some of the requirements are included in the site development plan for the property, and including them in this subdivision plat would be redundant. And so with that, the department recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission approve of a final plat of a major subdivision for 12.217 acres of property in the A1 zone in the South Rio Grande character area with the following conditions and findings. I'm altering the conditions slightly just because we received a updated plat that has some corrections to some of these conditions. So condition number 1 has already been addressed in the updated plat, and condition 2B for sheet 2 has also been addressed. So the conditions are as follows. The final plat shall contain all of the required language to be placed on the plat, i.e. data notes, vicinity map, public utility easement statements, restrictions, legend certifications, etc. And on sheet 1, the number of the existing lots must be clarified, and the disclosure statement is 2 tracks. The owner names must be listed under free consent, and the village clerk's name must be corrected. All utility systems shall be underground if the utility company permits. All the requirements of the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority shall be met in the installation of the utilities and governing rules and regulations adhered to. All development shall be carried out in accordance with the applicable state laws and village ordinances. A subdivision improvements agreement will be required prior to the recording of the final plat to guarantee completion of the required improvements, and a financial guarantee instrument in the amount of 125% of the estimated infrastructure costs must be submitted prior to filing of the final plat. With the findings that the subdivision meets the requirements of section 9.1.8 B3, B through D, final plat requirements, and the public notice requirements have been met. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Are there any questions for Director Justice from the commissioners? Okay, so do I understand that you've removed condition number 1 and 2B? I was
For
trying to
EB,
follow
that is
along.
correct.
Okay. And then I had a question, but it may have been answered, and that was in your analysis on page 3. you said the proposed structures spanning the property line must have an easement. The wall has an easement. However, there are other elements that must also have easements. Is that something that has gone away, or if not, could you explain that?
Yes, Chair Eby, Commissioners. So that comment is directly tied to condition number 1, that additional easements would be noted on the plat. In the corrected, updated plat, those easements are shown.
Okay, thank you. And then I thought you said something at the beginning of your presentation about all the requirements except the 1 acre minimum have been met, and I didn't understand what you were saying there.
Commissioner Eby, Commissioners, all of the requirements, including the 1 acre minimum, have been met.
Including, okay. I must have misheard you. All right. Are there any other questions from commissioners? Okay. Is the applicant present?
Yes, stand by.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Simons. Please state your name and address for the record.
Marie Simons, 286 Los Pinos Road, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87507.
All right, Attorney Winter, please swear in Ms. Simons.
Ms. Simons, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to speak about the application.
I have nothing further to add. I know you all have seen this project a few times, and we're just on the path continuing down this application process, which is, I guess this is our final meeting. And I have nothing further to add. I feel that all the descriptions are well represented in the meeting packet and in the document.
Right. Does any of the commissioners have questions for Ms. Simons? Okay. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of the application? In favor of the application?
Stand by. I don't have any hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition to the application? In opposition?
Commissioner, there is somebody who would like to speak, but they are on phone, so I can't see a hand raised. I'm gonna unmute them now.
Okay, thank you, Kiko.
Mr. Margulies, you should.
Hello, this is. Yes, hello, this is Ronald Margulies. Glad
Okay,
to join
Mr.
you.
Margos, yeah, thank you. Please state your address for the record, and then we'll have the attorney swear you in.
18 Applewood Lane, Northwest in Los Ranchos, which is just to the west of the property,
Okay.
across the ditch.
Attorney Winter, please swear in Mr. Margos.
Mr. Margos, I know you can't see me, but could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell?
Okay, got it?
Okay, thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Mr. Margos.
Thank you. I have one question to address to the applicants, and that is on the western edge of the property, there's a future expansion a diagram or schematic. Looks like a garage. I think it's described as a garage. And I'm wondering, does that fall within the setback? It's hard to tell on the plot plan. The Director of Justice may be able to address that more easily.
Director of Justice, can you respond to that question? And if not, we'll have the applicant respond to it.
Yes, Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Margolis. So just to clarify, are you speaking to the eastern edge of this property, which is the western boundary of your property, I'm assuming? On the site development plan, it notes that there is a parking area that's noted closer to the ditch, essentially. Is this what you were describing?
That's correct. It would be on the easternmost portion. And I thought, I'm not looking at the diagram or the plan, but I thought it said future expansion garage, but it was sketched in as a garage, maybe
yes.
a carport.
So, Mr. Margolis, this is a parking area. It will be compliant with the setbacks, and I believe the applicant can speak more to the nature of whether it's covered or uncovered parking.
Ms. Simons, do you have a comment on that?
Sure. Yes, this shows a pole barn structure intended to protect farming equipment. And it's in keeping with the rural and agricultural community of the village. The structure is in conformance with all planning and development codes and regulations applicable. But yeah, we're showing a pole barn there.
Okay, the only clarification, this is Ronald Margolis again, that I was requesting was it falls within the 25-foot rear of property setback.
Correct. It falls well within that 25-foot setback.
Or, sorry, if I could just interject.
Or it's
is outside of the 25-foot setback. It is compliant with the 25-foot setback.
Thank you, Director.
Oh, that clarifies. That was my only concern from the plan that was on the website. It was very difficult to tell what that dimension was.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Margolis?
No. It's this. The plan would restrict it to this sort of garden and farming equipment shed. Is that correct? That's my only other question.
Director Justice.
So, Mr. Margolis, the plan, what's shown on there is a proposed farm equipment type of shed. However, they are able to build, I guess, a different type of structure or additional structures so long as they're compliant with the setbacks and compliant with the floor area ratio and height limitations.
And they would have to get excuse me, they'd have to get a building permit in any case. Is that right?
Yes, Chair Evie, that is correct.
Okay, I'm satisfied with the answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Margolis. Are there any other members of the audience who wish to speak in favor or in opposition to this application?
There's nobody else on the call.
Okay, thank you. All right. Are there any comments from the commissioners before I close the floor for comments? All right, the floor is now closed for comments. Is there any discussion among the commissioners about the application prior to a motion? All right, is there a motion? And this would be a motion to approve or deny the final plat of a major subdivision with the conditions stated by the director.
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the final plat that in this application with the conditions as stated by Director Justice.
Thank you. Is there a second?
May I just ask a question? Do we also have to say with the removed conditions of 1 and 2B?
Commissioner Christensen, the way that Commissioner Benavides moved does account for that, since those were the conditions as stated by the director.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. So now, is there any discussion on the motion before we go to vote? Well, I will just state that I believe that the finding that the subdivision meets the requirements of section 9.1.8B3B through D, final plat requirements have been met. And with that finding, I'm inclined to vote in favor of the motion. All right. So any other comments by the commissioners? Any other discussion? All right. So this is a vote on the motion to approve the final plat of the major subdivision with the conditions as stated this evening by the director, which are slightly different from the written ones in her report. Commissioner Christensen?
Approve.
Commissioner Benavides?
Yay.
Commissioner Park?
Yes.
Commissioner Seavey?
Yes.
Commissioner Berenson?
Yes.
Commissioner Eby votes yes. The motion carries unanimously. And let the record show that the public hearing item 4A, the request by Dawn Nieto Gui and Robert Gui for final plat approval of a major subdivision is formally closed. And thank Mr. Margolis and Ms. Simons for appearing to comment on this. And we will now move on. So the next item on the agenda is old business. And we have no old business. New business, we have no new business. So we'll move on to the reports. So we have a planning department report. Director Justice, may we have your planning department report?
Yes, commissioners. Just a general update on the department. Jennifer Schilling is continuing to process business renewals. Businesses have until December 31st to renew without a late fee. She's also reviewing the retention schedule that's used by the New Mexico Municipal League for possible adoption by the village. Building permits, parcel permits, and work on the magazine continues as usual. And the first issue of the 2021 magazine should arrive at the beginning of January. Keen Heinzelman is patrolling the village and working with property owners to bring their properties into compliance, as well as processing large building permits. I am working with Jeff Phillips, our emergency management coordinator, on the hazard mitigation plan update, and attended a public meeting on that in November. The annual report for the watershed's MS4 permit was submitted to the EPA, and the variance subcommittee met in November and will meet again in December. I guess before we move on to the commissioners' informal discussion, I'd just like to say that it's with a heavy heart that this meeting we say farewell to Commissioner and Vice Chair Al Park, who served on the commission since 2018. Myself, staff, and the commission would like to thank him for his time as a commissioner, for his knowledge of the code, his insight and his perspective that was brought to all matters that came before the commission during his term, his attention paid to all parties in public hearings, and the respect given to the time and efforts of applicants and neighbors. He's been a great asset to the commission, and he will be missed. Thank you, Al. We'll have a small token of appreciation that'll be mailed to you in recognition of your service And you will be also recognized at tomorrow night's Board of Trustees meeting as well. So thank you, Al. Oh, and I stand for any questions.
One for Director Justice. How is the variance subcommittee coming along? Do you have any more information on that, or is it still kind of in the works?
Commissioner Seavey, commissioners, the variance subcommittees, I guess, were compiling information on the variances that the village has approved, and also looking at the variance language of other communities in Mexico to compare and see how ours compares, and as well as just discussing the merits of possibly changing the current variance language.
Thank you, Director Justice.
So do you have any report on the 4th Street Stop and Shop last weekend? Looked like it was quite busy on 4th Street.
Oh, that's good to hear. Commissioner, Chair Evie, commissioners, I do not have an update on how the Stop and Shop went. We did try to advertise it a bit on our Facebook page. I am glad to hear that there was activity happening on 4th Street, though. And I can ask some other staff to see if they have any further information on that, and I can get back to you.
Okay. Any other questions for Director Justice on her report? Okay, the next item is Commissioner's informal discussion.
Oh,
And Al, I wasn't aware you were leaving us early, so maybe you'd like to say a few words.
Nope. Just
Nope.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Good luck. Godspeed. Stay safe.
And I suppose we're going to have a new vice chair appointed or elected, or how are we going to handle that? At our next meeting, or?
So Chair Evie, commissioners, we will follow the procedure that we did similar for Trustee Pacheco when she left the commission. Her seat was not filled until our normal annual appointing of commissioners. So in the meantime, the position of vice chair will be left unfulfilled and should, and I guess the duties then of running the meeting, should the chair no longer be here, would be the secretary. Oh, and I also have an update from Administrator Simon. She says that the Stop and Shop went very well.
Okay. Do you have any perspective on that, Commissioner Christensen? I know you were involved.
Yeah, I mean, we were busy. In all honesty, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, the number of visits that we had last year to this year. But I haven't looked at those numbers, if we had more people in than we did last year. I mean, it's just been a really strange year.
Well, Commissioner Park, we're going to miss you. I didn't prepare any words because I didn't know this was happening tonight. So thank you for your service, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And
Thanks. No words are necessary. It's a pleasure to serve.
okay. So The next item is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
That was Commissioner Berenson.
Yes.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right. The motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Nay. Okay, the meeting for what's today, December
The 8th.
December 8th is adjourned at 7:31.
Ah. Y'all have a
Happy
good,
holidays.
have a good
Happy
holiday.
holidays to all of you. Yeah.
Y'all too. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
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 Thank you.